Flamingo chef, show us what you got with cocktails and dishes that hit the sweet spot.
Hi guys, Bill the Kansas Flamingo chef. Thanks for joining me again. Back at the bar, obviously, and today I've got a big bottle of Amaretto. I personally believe Amaretto is the most underutilized liqueur. It's not really a spirit, it's a liqueur in most bars. Now, people have always heard of an Amaretto sour, or maybe you've had an Amaretto cheesecake. Maybe you've just had Amaretto in a snifter. But there are so many other things that you can use this wonderful stuff to make. And I want to share with you a few of my favorites. If you don't see an Amaretto cocktail in this quick video that you love, by all means, comment and let me know about it. Maybe it's one I'm not familiar with. Maybe it just isn't one of my favorites. So we're going to do some that are really easy, some that are a little more complex, and yeah, a couple of different Amaretto sours. Let's get started. Okay, so our first one I like to call the almond colada. So it's a take on a pina colada that's not frozen, but we're going to use the Amaretto. So we're actually going to do this in an iced shaker, and our ingredients are going to be lime juice, pineapple juice, white rum, Amaretto, and some almond syrup. So you can get this stuff at a lot of good liquor stores. You can find it online. Amazon has it. It's not expensive, but it's a good thing to keep behind your bar. Obviously for this, but for a lot of tiki drinks, and you can't make a real Mai Tai without it. So let's do this. So an iced shaker, we're going to do 2 ounces of white rum. Now I'm just using Cruisin' white rum. You can use any white rum you want. I happen to like Cruisin' because it's not horribly expensive. It's a good, balanced, soft white rum from St. Croix. But if you have a favorite, use whatever you want. It doesn't matter. All right, then we're going to use a 1/2 ounce of our Amaretto, which doesn't sound like a lot, but this stuff packs a punch when you're mixing it in a cocktail. All right, and to that, if I ever get the top back on, as I clean up my mess, we're going to add 2.5 ounces of pineapple juice. Now I'm using whole pineapple juice here. This one is from Cudston, but again, if you want to use a plastic container of pineapple, whatever. Okay, I've got fresh squeezed lime juice, and we're going to use about 3/4 ounce of that. And then last but not least, about 1/4 ounce of the almond syrup. It doesn't take very much of this stuff. All right, shake that well. So your shaker gets nice and cold and stuck. And when you open this up, it smells so good, okay? So onto this, we are going to drop that on fresh ice. It has this beautiful yellow color. And that is the almond colada. Now you can throw a wedge of pineapple on this if you like, and big straw and all that good stuff. Oh my goodness, it is just so good. Leave the gun, take the cannoli. If you know the movie, you know the line. There's only 3 ingredients in The Godfather. You need Amaretto, you need some aromatic bitters, and you need a blended scotch. Now, I'm not a blended scotch guy. I love single malt scotches. Blended scotch to me, yeah. But this one's simple. You need a highball glass with a big cube, and then we're going to do 2 ounces of blended scotch. I do not highly recommend just drinking plain blended scotch. Not my thing, but mud in your eyes. On that, about 3/4 of an ounce of your Amaretto. Now you can go a little heavy on this and take it all the way up to an ounce if you want to. That'll make it a little nuttier, a little sweeter, and it'll get rid of the aftertaste of the blended scotch. With that, just a tiny bit, maybe 1 dash or 2 at the most of your bitters. And then take your bar spoon, give this a nice turn. Now, it's kind of an odd take, almost a Manhattan, right? So if you wanted to, you could garnish this with a cherry. No problem with that. But it's so good. And what a crazy way to make scotch, blended scotch, palatable. For our next cocktail, we're going to use tequila. With our Amaretto and our almond syrup, some orange bitters, and an orange, we're going to produce a interesting take on an old-fashioned that I call a tequila almond old-fashioned. It sounds weird, and the first time I was creating it, I wasn't really sure how it was going to turn out, but I got to tell you, this is one of my absolute favorite variations I've ever done of an old-fashioned. So you're going to need a mixing glass for this one. You're also going to need a peeler for your fruit, a stirring spoon or a bar spoon, and some source of fire. Okay, we'll put this stuff away for now, and a glass with a super cube. So this one is 2 ounces of a reposado tequila. It needs to be a reposado to get the right flavor to come out of this. I've done it with a Blanco, not very good. Did it with an Añejo. It's a waste. The oak does not come forward. So this is Insolito, which is one of my favorites to keep on the bar. It's probably one of my top 15 tequilas. But I love the bottle because it has a Flamingo on it. Yes, that's why I initially bought it. All right, so we're going to do 2 ounces of our reposado tequila. And you could use any reposado you want. I do recommend one that has a little more flavor forward. So like a Siete Leguas that is more simple, probably not the best choice. And I also would not recommend doing it with a double cask like the Don Roberto, because you're going to get too much of the Chardonnay flavor that overpowers the drink. And as always, I never use my expensive tequilas to make cocktails, so I'm not sticking Fortaleza in here. All right, so we're going to put that 2 ounces in the mixing glass. Along with that, we're going to use 2 dashes of orange bitters. And then about 1/8 of an ounce, and I mean, we're just talking barely dropping any into the shot here, into the jigger of the almond syrup. And then last but not least, just about 1/4 ounce of Amaretto. Okay. Now, if you haven't watched my video on old fashions before, an old fashioned is not actually a drink. It's a technique. It's a style of drink, which means that you're using a spirit, in this case tequila, and a sugar together, along with bitters. So it can be any combination of sugars and a forward spirit. We're going to just softly hit that with the bar spoon and stir it. Pour that over the fresh ice. Have that nice golden color. And then, and this part is not necessary, but I'm telling you, it changes the whole whole deal, the whole balance of the drink. I'm gonna just shave a little bit of this orange peel. I'm gonna throw one of them in the glass. Then I'm gonna take one and express the oils by popping it in my hand, rolling it around the rim of the glass, and then take a little fire and burn it ever so softly. And drop it right in. That is my tequila almond old fashioned. For this, you need 4 ingredients. You need amaretto, bitters, lemon juice, and an egg white. First, we need to separate the egg. We're going to build this in a shaker, and by the way, I did not throw the yolk away. I'm going to make hollandaise sauce with my breakfast in the morning. All right, so in this shaker full of ice, that's why it's already frozen on the bottom, we're going to start with 2 ounces of amaretto. Again, use any amaretto you like, but I'm telling you, this is really the only one you should buy. All right, 2 ounces amaretto. We need 1 ounce of lemon juice. Now, normally I squeeze lemons, but I know this sounds crazy. They were out of lemons at the market today. The only lemons they had were about that big. I'm like, forget it. So I always try to keep a bottle of this in my bar fridge. This is Santa Cruz organic pure lemon juice. In the event you don't have lemons to squeeze, this is the only lemon juice I would recommend. We're going to add the bitters. Now, you really only need about a dash of this into your shaker. Last but not least, you're going to put in the egg white. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, well, I can just go get sour mix at the store and do this. You're right, you can, but don't do it. Just don't. Don't put yourself through that. It's not good. This is good. Glass of fresh ice. Grab your shaker and give this a really good shake, but don't shake hard, because we want to break the egg white and create a froth, but we don't want it to turn into a giant puddle of mess. Okay? Once you get a nice frosty shaker, you're going to take your strainer, pour it over fresh ice. Now, there is a big argument in the bar world as to whether or not an amaretto sour is supposed to get a cherry. And my answer to that is, if you don't want one, don't put one in the glass. But I want one. That is a traditional amaretto sour. We did a traditional amaretto sour. Now let's do a bourbon amaretto sour. This is my personal favorite variation of an amaretto sour. So here we have our amaretto, lemon juice, bourbon, I'm using Buffalo Trace, Demerara syrup, and an egg white. Sounds weird? It's really good. Let's do it. Got to separate the egg. Once again, we're going to build this one in the shaker. I've got my egg white that you saw me separate. That's going in there. Then we're going to take our lemon juice and add, trying to find my, there we go, found my jigger. About 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice for this one. About 1.5 ounces of bourbon. Sorry, 1.5 ounces of amaretto. Now, I am going to put 1 ounce of bourbon in here. You could go a little heavier if you want to, but it really doesn't need more than 1 ounce. You need about 1/4 ounce of your sugar syrup. You can use any kind of dark sugar syrup you want. I happen to like Demerara. Give this a good shake and strain it over ice. Now with the addition of the bourbon, this is going to fill a little higher than the previous one. Once again, cherry or no cherry, it's up to you. But that is a bourbon variation of an Amaretto sour. All right, our last cocktail for this video. Amaretto, dark rum, Myers, my favorite, lemon juice, and simple syrup. We're going to make a really weird daiquiri. This one is called a belladonna. This cocktail is going to be served up in a daiquiri glass. We're going to start with the star of the show, our Amaretto, and it's going to be 1.5 ounces of this lovely, lovely stuff. To that, we're also going to add the same amount of our dark rum. Now, you can use any rum you like. It needs to be a dark rum. I like Myers, so that's why I'm going to use Myers. To that, you're going to add 1/2 ounce of lemon juice. And like I told you before, I didn't have any lemons. In fact, I have 1 lemon I managed to get at the from my next door neighbor a little while ago, but I'm going to use that for something else, for fish I'm making. And then last but not least, we need simple syrup, which is just sugar and water. If you don't know how to make it, you dissolve sugar in water on the stove. That's really what it comes down to. We're just going to use 1/4 ounce of that. Now we're going to shake this really well and get this cocktail shaker to have a nice frost on it. And strain that up into your daiquiri glass. Now, if you want to line this rim with sugar, you can. I'm not a big sugar rim guy, so I'm not going to bother with that. That is all there is to this one. Generally, I serve this with a strawberry on it because it's pretty. You can also use a edible flower if you'd like. Anything to give it some color. But I'm just making it to drink. Oh, that's so good. If you've enjoyed this video, and I certainly hope you have, please subscribe, share, like, and most importantly, comment. If there's another drink you'd like to see me make, if there's a food you'd like to see me make, all you got to do, comment on the video or send me an email, bill@kansasflamingochef.com. Good news, I am going to do another group of videos or a group of drinks using Amaretto. But that's it for this one. Have a great day. Eat fabulous.
In the heart of Kansas, under sky so clear, lives a chef with a flair, bringing folks some cheer. With a pinch of love and a dash of zest, he's the Kansas Flamingo, and his meals are the best.